Cartoons, the animated frontier. These are the voyages of the Cellcast podcast. Its continuing mission to explore strange new cartoons, to seek out new animation styles and new creative storytelling methods, to boldly go where so few ever go again. Welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who just has to go out to the countryside every once in a while, Jacob.
Why, thank you. You stole my line. Why,
Not
thank
completely.
you. Not completely, no. But thank you so much. And let me introduce our co-host, a man who has got to get his rouge on. Welcome, Drew.
Moulin Rouge.
Good movie.
You know, I haven't actually watched it.
Wow. Okay. That's a good movie. That's a really, really good movie.
I remember it being the thing when I was in drama club, but I never actually got a chance to watch the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
My brother, my baby brother Daniel and his wife, Bill, absolutely just loved the movie to death. So I sat down and watched it one day, and it's like, wow.
I will put that on the list. Heaven knows I need to get a couple more movies down before the end of the year.
Yeah, got 2 months.
Yeah, and I'm at 70. Well, I need to put another one on there, and I'll be at 75.
Yeah, I'm at 79.
I still got like 30 minutes of that movie left. But anyway, how are you doing, Jacob? I already asked you that, didn't I? No, I didn't.
No, you
haven't. How are
haven't.
you doing, Jacob?
I am doing a little under the weather due to it's
COVID-19? No, I'm kidding.
no COVID, no COVID. But we live in East Texas, and
it is allergy season.
It is allergy season. It is the fall, and I do get spring allergies, and I sneeze it all the time. So, yes, that's how I'm doing. Work was good. I got home, put my food in the toaster, waited for it to ding, realized it was still unplugged, and then plugged it back in. And so if you hear something shifting in my mouth, that's a Young Living Thieves cough drop.
Ah.
Yeah. So if you hear that.
So, can I ask you a very stupid question?
Okay, fire away.
Why did you unplug your toaster?
Well, the last time I used it, apparently, I was like, what do I smell? Because it smelled like something was burning. Mm-hmm. And it really was just more the coils cooling down. So I'll be like, you know what? I'm going to unplug it just in case.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I got my food, sat down, watched a little bit of Tho Adams on YouTube. He's a...
Throw Adams?
Yeah, Tho Adams. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Transformers toy reviewer from England, and he's hilarious. If you want something that's hysterical, now there's a lot of cursing and really bad humor, but it's really funny. And it's just like puns the entire time. So it's funny. So if you want to go check him out, go check him out. And so I sat down on the couch and I'm just like, oh, now I just want to go to sleep. Oh yeah, I got a podcast to do. So I'm here.
Well, we're glad you're here.
Exactly.
This would be a very awkward podcast for me to do by myself.
Yes, it would. And apparently now I have people gathering pitchforks for me.
That's your fault. That's pre-show, guys. If y'all are not joining us for the live stream every Tuesday night,
yes,
but that we're actually putting an episode out that week, you're missing some of the fun here. I'm just going to put that out right now. Anyway.
How are you doing?
Me, I'm doing pretty good. Feel, it's been a pretty decent week so far.
Yeah, a great long week for only Tuesday.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's not been anything too fancy. I don't have any interesting stories like you do.
Okay.
Because I work all the time.
Right.
It seems like now.
Right.
But anyway. So, what have you been watching?
What have I been watching? So, we watched a little bit of, let's see, what was that?
Konosuba?
Oh my word. Wow. Just like whenever you think something's going to get even more weird and awkward, it does.
Yeah, that's not 9/10 of the point of that show.
Well, yeah, obviously. I enjoy it for what it is. I love the fact that like one of the guys who watches or is part of our group, Joseph. Just he's just like, can we see this show again or something like that? I can't remember what show he's always willing to watch. What is that?
He keeps saying Captain Taylor.
Yeah, Captain
Taylor. And I don't know
Taylor.
what show he's referring to there. I think what he means to say is Captain Tyler.
Yeah.
Because it is Tyler, even if it's spelled odd for Tyler, but still.
Right. Yeah.
Also, he really wants to go watch Girls in Panzer.
Yeah, Girls in Panzer. I'd be like, it's an interesting concept. Either way,
Girls and Tanks. How can you go wrong?
Exactly. Either way,
I'd like to point out that Chase says, Jacob, you were laughing hard enough while watching it. I believe he's referring to Konosuba.
I was. I was thoroughly enjoying it. I'm not going to deny it. I enjoyed it. I did watch Book of Life. It's another animated film.
Mm-hmm.
I will almost describe it as a Disney / Pixar Coco Light.
Right.
It's got a very similar theme to it. It's different enough, and obviously they came out in different years. And but it does revolve around the oh wow, I feel terrible because I can't remember the festival. The Day of the Dead. The Day of the Dead. Thank you. I can't remember.
Dios de los Muertos.
Thank you.
I probably said that wrong, and my apologies.
Yeah. So yeah, watch that. It's good, but when you watch Coco before that, it kind of diminishes. I
think they came out the same year because that's one of those. You know how sometimes two people will make a movie around the same time that happens to be the same thing, but they did not talk to each other.
Yeah,
I think this is one of those instances.
It's kind of
like Madagascar and The Wild. Not that anyone remembers The Wild.
Yeah,
I don't know. I barely remember The Wild.
Or the one that always gets me is Tombstone and the movie Wide Earp. Mm-hmm. They came out the exact same time. You watch Tombstone, which is a freaking incredible movie. You haven't seen it, go watch it. And then Wild Earp is the same story, but it's so much more slower. And it's not as exciting as Tombstone. Mm. But other than that, it's a really fun movie. It's a really fun movie about two brothers and two quote unquote gods who are make a wager that one of these, like, if one of these boys marries the main focus girl, and then that god or goddess can rule the other's kingdom for something, and it's all about trickery and all that good stuff. It's an interesting movie, let's say that. But other than that, that's all I've watched. What about you?
Well, I've watched 2 movies this week. The first one I watched was Time Bandits, which was written by Terry Gilliam of Monty Python fame.
Oh, gosh.
Or he directed it anyway. It's about this boy who accidentally gets kidnapped is the wrong word, but he gets wrapped up in this giant time heist that these dwarves are in the middle of.
Okay.
And because they had to make the time door went through his bedroom, and so he got involved.
Oh, okay.
Especially when he was running away from the creator, I think was what they called it. Anyway. Okay. When God's coming through your bedroom and he's wanting to attack the little people who are trying to escape through your bedroom, you kind of have to run.
But yeah, just
that's kind of what was going on
Monsters
there.
Inc.
Except it's not.
Yeah,
it's a weird movie. It's kind of like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but British.
Oh, okay.
That's the best way I know how to put
that.
Except you probably would not like it, knowing how much you didn't like Bill and Ted because of the historical inaccuracies. I have a
Right.
feeling the historical inaccuracies
Oh, okay. Would drive me nuts.
would drive you nuts in this movie too.
Oh, okay.
So fair warning on that.
Well, I would say I did enjoy Bill and Ted, the second movie,
Right.
and the third one was kind of a mixed bag.
Fair enough. I enjoyed all three movies. I thought all three were great.
Yeah.
Also, I watched a documentary that our pastor had suggested a couple weeks back. I just didn't get around to it yet. Called "The Social Dilemma."
Oh yeah.
About how our phones are trying to take over the world and kill us all.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I actually do suggest giving it a watch.
Okay.
Just bear in mind, it is going to try and I have a feeling the writer of the documentary and the people who they were interviewing were not on the same page, because 2/3 of the movie is talking about how how the phones are playing you and how we've let them become masters of the world and what it might lead us to if we let things go instead of using them as a tool. And then the last 10 minutes is, by the way, these things are great, aren't they? Look at all the great things they've done. If we were to do these ethical things on using it, force the programmers of these apps, keep in mind most of the people on this show are the original programmers of most of this stuff.
Right.
It's like, if we do all this, maybe we should be able to kind of fine. Just don't let your phone control you. And it's like they wait till the last 10 minutes of the movie go all for this. I'm thinking, you just tried to scare me for the past hour and a half over. It's like, okay, you've probably never read the book I, Robot, I'm guessing.
No.
Might have seen the movie, but never read the book.
Never read the book.
Yeah, the book and the movie are entirely different.
That's what I hear.
The last of the short stories in the book is called The Inevitable Conflict, and essentially it's telling the same thing, how computers are going to take over the world and there's nothing we can do to stop it.
Okay.
Kind of what they're looking at on here. There's a bit of fear-mongering for about an hour and a half through the movie. In the last 10 minutes, as long as we use these as tools, we should be fine. It's like, mixed messages, guys.
Yeah, come on.
You should have, if that's really your thought, you should have mixed that in a little bit better. But one of the interesting things about it, along with all the interviews, is they've got this little kind of a small story going through it of this kid who is addicted to his phone, and it's kind of interesting how all that turns out. So definitely give it a watch, because it's actually a very good documentary.
Okay, we'll definitely check that out.
And then other than that, the only thing I've really watched is a little show that you can see spotted right over there. There we go. Thundercats 2011, which our first, or I call it maybe episode 0 prologue. Essentially, our first thoughts.
Yes,
just went up this morning, so please go listen to that when you get a chance.
Yeah, go give us some love. And then
I believe Thursday, if everything goes as planned, that's when our review for episode 1, Omens Part 1, will come out. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, you can go check it out on Hulu right now. Yeah,
you can watch the show on Hulu if you're wanting to go through it with us.
Yeah. Yeah, really good season. Really good season. It's only one season, sadly. Mm-hmm. But go give it some love, because it definitely needed some love when it was airing. So just give it some love now. I've got it on Blu-ray, so that's the way I'm watching it. I would have bought it on Blu-ray, but I didn't want to spend the money. Totally understand that. All right, so that brings us to the end of what we've been watching, I believe. Yeah. What do we got in the news? All right, so news-wise, Disney's animated treasure, Mulan, has captured audience for the last 20 years. And this year's live-action remake of the beloved tale is basically what's happening. Just in time for November 10th, you'll be able to purchase the original animated Mulan on 4K Ultra and Blu-ray, and including the live-action film. Also will be available. Yeah, so apparently November 10th. If you want, that's today. Yeah, today. So if you want to go pick up Mulan, the original, and the live action, you can go pick it up right now if you want to. Alrighty. All right. So, a little bit of a underwater movie recently dropped, and that'll be it's coming to Netflix, but not to America or Canada.
Okay.
SpongeBob the movie, Sponge on the Run.
Oh, that's the new one that was supposed to hit theaters around this time.
Yeah, it's releasing November with every country except the United States and Canada.
That probably means it'll release on whatever Paramount's thing is. I think technically it's still CBS All Access.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe they'll just put it out like everything else and say, here, pay $20 to watch this movie.
Yeah. So either way, if you like SpongeBob or like you were really dying to watch this movie, you can find it somewhere right now.
Somewhere.
Under
the sea.
Other than the night? That's a country song.
Yes.
All right. First look. Sin as SINE site and Cinesite. Thank you. Cinesite and Adventure offers sneak peek at Princess Awesome.
Okay.
All right. So apparently the movie is in pre-production and will be released 2022. Inspired by Japanese mythology, the movie centers around a young heroine who is transported to a mythical kingdom and sets off on a quest to restore wisdom and humor to a land. No director has been attached to the film currently. Because I read that and I was like, what? I thought I literally just copied a different section. And I was like, I've got to go check this.
Okay.
But, yeah, apparently a new anime movie is in the works, minus they have no director.
That's odd, but okay.
Yeah. So, that is all I have in the news.
Alrighty. So shall we jump into our spoiler-free review of Only Yesterday?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Trouble seems so far away.
Yes. Sorry. That one took me a second.
You're welcome.
Okay. So yeah, this was my first viewing of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was yours also.
Yes.
The only thing I knew about this movie going into it was that Daisy Ridley was in it, but I wasn't sure who she played. I had no idea what it was about.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought the two characters on the cover were different people.
Yeah.
I was wrong.
Yeah. Thank you for that heads up.
Yeah. This, just to give you a fair warning, all you men out there, this movie was not made for us. This is actually this was designed as a drama for adult women in Japan.
Yes.
Which might and is very much an adult drama.
Yes.
About memories. You get right down to it.
Yeah.
It's not a bad movie. In fact, it's kind of like a Hallmark movie in a way.
Agreed.
And yet it's also not. For one thing, it doesn't take place at Christmas. But it does involve a woman from the city going out to the country and meeting a man with a who teaches her the meaning of the countryside or farming.
Yeah.
That's kind of like Hallmark movie, isn't it? I mean, I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It was not what I was expecting. I'm going to get the feeling that Isao Takahata, that's his name, I think, the director of this, I have a feeling one of the things that's going to be common for my thoughts on all his movies going forward is that he likes to make me feel awkward.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, the one he did before this was Grave of the Fireflies, and boy, did that make me feel awkward.
Yeah. Go
listen to that one. That's actually a very good episode. Especially if you like hearing Jacob go on a rant for, what was that, 15 minutes?
Roughly.
When I got up and just got a drink of water in the middle of it.
You did. So, caution, rant ahead if you if you dare to go listen to this.
Yeah, it is Isao Takahata.
Yes.
It's a good movie. I didn't enjoy it for what it is. It's not a movie made for me or Jacob for that matter, I don't think. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was a very interesting film. It was a very interesting film. There are a moment or two, or 15 minutes to be exact, or
about 15 minutes.
It's very awkward. It's a very awkward.
One of the flashbacks,
yeah,
made me feel awkward.
Yeah. But other than that, like it was an enjoyable film to watch. It's slow. It's a slow burn.
It is a very slow burn.
It's a it's like some people describe to me when they're describing drinking whiskey. I don't drink. I don't have no idea what whiskey tastes like, but they used to be like it's a slow burn, just like the entire time. And if eventually gets down there, it just burns the entire time.
Yeah.
So this is what this movie is kind of like.
It takes a while to understand what is actually going on, what the point of the story is.
Yeah.
And there were plenty of times where I kept thinking, this is not a bad movie, but it feels like 2 hours have passed. How much of the movie is there left?
Yeah.
There's still an hour left? Okay, let's keep going.
It reminds me of the original movie Doom.
Dune? Not Doom, but Dune.
Dune. No.
Entirely different movies.
Yeah, no, the Doom movie was so bad I walked out on it.
I didn't even go watch it.
Yeah,
so.
no.
But Dune.
Yeah, Dune.
The original Dune.
Yeah, that was just... That movie... I was sitting there, it's like, okay, is it done? Well, no, it's still going. How long?
The difference is... At about halfway through the Dune movie, it started speeding up because they had to cram the rest of the story in.
That's true, but it still dragged quite a bit.
Yeah.
But this, instead of this being like, actually, it flows, except for one little hiccup, and I'll get to my dislikes. But
I think that's going to be on both our dislikes.
Mine's like that and another thing, but we'll get there when we get there.
We'll get there when we get there.
Okay, so yes, it's an enjoyable film. It's one of those movies you have to pace yourself with. If you're used to just like nice action flow, exhilarating, like everything, this is not the movie for you.
No.
This takes a leisure pace, and it's about growing and vacation and periods and stuff like that.
You had to mention that.
I did.
I will put it this way. If you remember our episode on The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Yes.
And my biggest complaint was that about halfway through the movie, I had to put it on twice speeds in order to get through it because it was taking so long to get anywhere. This movie's faster. But not by much.
Oh, wow. Okay. Ooh.
Anyway, I guess we'll go ahead and jump into the CGC bumper. So we will see y'all on the other side.
Ray. Wrong? Okay. This progress is part of Christian Reek Central Network. Wrong. Hey, Scoop, what are you doing, man? I don't know. I'm supposed to be reading an ad. All right, hold on. Give me it. Okay.
All right. This podcast is part of the Christian Geek Central Network at ChristianGeekCentral.com.
There you can find a collection of blogs and podcasts working together to bring you some of the best content on the web for Christian geeks, such as the Strangers and Aliens podcast. Strangers and Aliens is a conversational podcast and blog that explores the relationship between God and man through the lens of speculative and imaginative fiction, and explores speculative and imaginative fiction through the lens of God's relationship with men. Join Ben, Dr. Jace O'Neill, and Steve McDonald, a trio of Christians who are both fans and creators of story, in their conversation about the intersection of faith and imagination. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Only Yesterday. Listener discretion is advised. Only Yesterday was written and directed by Asao Takahata, who also wrote and directed Grave of the Fireflies. The English adaptation was done by David Freeman, who would go on to do Mary and the Witch's Flower. We'll get to that one eventually. It was based on the manga Omoide Poro Poro, which in English means Memories Come Tumbling Down, written by Hotaru Okamoto and Yuko Tone, and the composer was Katsu Hoshi. The cast: Teiko Okajima, as an adult, was played by Daisy Ridley. She's most known for playing Rey in Star Wars and Miss Mary Debenham in Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes.
Teiko Okajima, as a fifth grader, was played by Alison Fernandez, and she played Delilah, one of the X-23 children in Logan.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not X-23 herself.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the children that was a part of that program.
Okay.
Toshio was played by Dave Patel. He played Prince Zuko in the live action The Last Airbender.
Oh, gosh.
Not exactly glowing recommendation.
No. Shyamalan, you fell so hard. So far.
Tsuneko was played by Hope Levi.
Okay.
She played Rebecca Chambers in the original Resident Evil. You know, the one that's got the really bad voice lines.
We're talking the video game?
Yes, the original Resident Evil video game.
Oh, okay. Never played it. Never watched it.
Look up the lines.
Okay.
In fact, after we're recording, I may just bring up some of these gems, let's say.
Gotcha.
Aiko was played by Stephanie Shea. She played Mitsuha Miyamizu in Your Name.
Okay.
And she was Usagi Tsukino, a.k.a. Sailor Moon, in Sailor Moon Crystal.
Ah.
Toko was played by Ava Akers. She played Timothy the Birthday Boy in the Angry Birds movie. You know, the one that he ruined at the beginning of that movie?
Yes.
Rie was played by Madeline Rose Yen. And apparently on the television show Team Umizoomi, she plays a character named Millie. Suzuki was played by Jaden Betts. He plays Donnie McStuffins in Doc McStuffins.
Okay.
I never watched the show because I don't have any kids.
Yeah.
Same is true of the other one. And then Shuji Hirota was played by Gianella Thielman, and this is her only credit.
Really?
Yeah, she didn't do anything after this. Mrs. Okajima was played by Grey Griffin. She played Catwoman in Batman Arkham City, and in many Scooby-Doo movies, she played Daphne Blake.
Jinkies.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Okajima and... I lost it. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Mr. Okajima and Kazuo was played by Matt Yang King.
Mm-hmm.
He is known for playing Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat 11. Nanako was played by Laura Bailey. She played Mary Jane Watson in the PlayStation 4 Spider-Man.
Oh.
And Rise Kujikawa in Persona 4.
Okay.
Yeiko was played by Ashley Eckstein, who is most well known for playing Ahsoka Tano in Star Wars The Clone Wars and among other Star Wars properties.
Ah.
The grandmother was played by Mona Marshall, and she's most famous for playing Izzy Izumi in Anteriormon in Digimon.
Ah.
So we probably brought that one up before.
We have.
Kyoko was played by Sumali Montano. She was RC in Transformers Prime, and she played the mother in Star Trek Picard. And if I explain which character I'm talking about any more than that, it'll give away spoilers for that show, so I'm not going to.
No spoilers!
Except for this movie. Naoko was played by Tara Strong. She played Bubbles in The Powerpuff Girls and Timmy Turner in The Fairly Odd Parents. And then the granny there at the farm was played by Nika Futterman. And she's most well known for playing Asajj Ventress in Star Wars The Clone Wars. So yeah, we have some rivals in this one.
Well, besides the director and the producer. Get there when we get there.
I was referring to Ahsoka and Asajj.
Yeah. Okay.
The fact that both their voice actresses are in this movie.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. That brings us to our Kingdom Hearts connections.
Okay.
Kirk Thornton, who was additional voices in this movie, plays Saix and Issa in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
Tara Strong, who I mentioned plays Naoka, is also the Riku from Final Fantasy X in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Oh, okay.
Of the Gullwings. Technically, 10-2 is the version they pull her from, but anyway. not get into that.
Okie
stuff.
dokie.
And Ichiro Nagia, who played Torihige in the Japanese cut of Only Yesterday, played Phil in all of his appearances in the Japanese versions of Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
You know, the one that he's playing the Danny DeVito character.
Yeah.
So that brings me to the end of our cast. What do we got in info and stuff?
Okay, info and stuff. All right, so let me get into info and stuff. All right, so if you are a subscriber, thank you, subscriber to HBO Max, you can watch this movie currently. But if you simply want to just stream it somewhere, you can't rent it, but you can buy it from either YouTube or Amazon Prime Video for either $10.99 or $11.99. I think this is the first. This is actually a first for the Cellcast. On IMDb, it has a 100%.
That is odd.
That is
you don't
very
normally
odd.
see 100% on IMDb.
No, you don't. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 7.6 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, so production-wise, it was obviously produced by Studio Ghibli, distributed by Toei, and then later on with G-Kids.
And is actually also distributed by Universal over here.
That's right.
Because they actually have the distribution rights, so they're going through G-Kids. So
yeah.
That one's interesting.
That is interesting. All right, its release date, originally in Japan, it was July 20th, 1991. And its American release originally was quite a long ways away from 1991.
Yeah.
January 1st, 2016.
Yes. Because this is one of the few Ghibli films that Disney did not get the distribution rights to, did not take the distribution rights to over here.
No, because...
Probably because it doesn't have the same kind of feel the rest of the Ghibli films have.
And according to the... if I remember correctly, because I was watching the extra features, the guy who directed the English dub, Ghibli was saying, like, it's undubbable. It worked.
We'll get to that here when we get to it.
Yeah,
I've got some things to say, but
yes. It first premiered in New York City and then worldwide on February 26th, 2016. Going back to its original Japanese release, it grossed 3.18 billion yen at the Japanese box office. Its 2016 English release later earned $525.9 thousand with including $453.2 thousand in the United States. All right, so to bold, I just said that, but either way, that's all we got in the news.
All right, info
and stuff. Info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary. In 1982, Teiko Okajima is 27 years old, unmarried, and has lived her whole life in Tokyo and now works at a company there. She decides to take another trip to visit the family of the elder brother of her brother-in-law in the rural countryside to help with the safflower harvest and get away from city life. While traveling at night on a sleeper train to Yamagata, she begins to recall memories of herself as a schoolgirl in 1966 and her intense desire to go on holiday like her classmates, all of whom have family outside of the big city. At her arrival at the train station, she is surprised to find out that her brother-in-law's second cousin, Toshio, whom she barely knows, is the one who came to pick her up. During her stay in Yamagata, she finds herself increasingly nostalgic and wistful for her childhood self, while simultaneously wrestling with adult issues of career and love. The trip dredges up forgotten memories, not all of them good ones, the first stirring up a childish romance, puberty, and growing up, the frustrations of math and boys. In lyrical switches between the present and the past, Teiko wonders if she has been true to her dreams of her childhood self. In doing so, she begins to realize that Toshio has helped her along the way. Finally, Teiko faces her own true self, how she views the world and the people around her. Teiko chooses to stay in the countryside instead of returning to Tokyo. It is implied that she and Toshio begin a relationship.
So be true to your heart.
Maybe. Kinda, sorta.
Maybe. I just thought popped in my head. Thought it would work.
Okay. So, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in with one of the things I liked about this movie.
All right.
I liked how her memories were not as fully colored as her normal day-to-day life.
Agreed.
It threw me off at first because I went into this movie without any idea what was going on, and I was about to dock it points for the fact that it didn't look like they finished drawing the movie until I realized, wait, that's a stylistic choice because this is her memories. It makes sense that there are parts of her memories that she does not remember, especially when she's dealing with her crush.
Yeah.
There at the beginning with the baseball player boy, and the only things that are colored in are the sunset, him and her, and maybe a little bit of the walls here and there.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't remember those.
Yeah.
Like she does
She has tunnel vision at that moment.
Yeah, she has tunnel vision, which makes perfect sense there. I like how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, when I was first watching the movie, I did not realize that we were looking at anybody's memories. I just thought we were following this little girl around, and every once in a while they'd show this other woman who's going on vacation to the middle of the countryside for no apparent reason. But that we'll get to that when we get to that, even though I think I just explained that one. Yeah. Anyway, I like how they did that, and plus I like how at the end of the movie, how as she during the credits sequence, essentially, she's dragged along by her memories to come back to the guy.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
And I remember watching that going, don't get run over by the truck, imaginary children. Get out of the road. Oh, wait a minute, you're not there.
Yeah.
It's a good movie. I mean, and anyway, I like how they did that with the memories. I thought that was cool. What's your first like?
Well, my first thought of this film, be like, it's nothing what I imagined the film would be. And let me explain that. Okay, so looking at the cover, having no idea what this movie's about.
Mm-hmm.
All I know it's Ridley Scott.
Daisy Ridley?
Daisy Ridley, thank you. But either way, so my initial thought before watching this, okay, it's going to be maybe a sci-fi, a time travel thing where...
Yeah, because I'd given you the warning that those two characters were the same character.
Exactly.
Going into it, you want to know what I thought?
What?
I thought this was a mother and her daughter going on vacation.
Okay.
So you can understand why I was confused for a bit.
Yeah. So that was my initial thought. Maybe like the younger self is having to come forward in time to help the older self.
Yeah,
something like that. Totally not the movie. No. Totally not the movie I thought it was. But going into my number one my first would be the backgrounds. The backgrounds are just fantastic. They look watercolor. I think they're watercolor. I think I could be wrong.
Definitely during the backup, the flashback sequences, I'd say they look watercolor. Some of the other ones look more traditionally. I say traditionally. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Full cell backgrounds.
Yeah. Just the backgrounds in general are just amazing in this movie. They're beautiful to look at. There again, if I had the money and maybe someone with the Stone Nation could, get one. I'm not expecting anybody to do this. Don't do it. If you can, don't do it. Either way,
you would like a cell from this movie.
Yes, a background cell from this movie would be amazing. Maybe sometime in the future. Not now.
I have no idea where you'd hang it in that apartment.
You never know. Maybe
how many posters do you have that you don't have hung up?
Hush. I'm working on it.
Okay.
All right. So yes, the backgrounds, amazing. What's your two?
My second like for this movie is the rain sequence.
Oh yeah.
There near the end where she's kind of breaking down.
Mm-hmm. It's like, Granny, why did you say that to me?
Yeah. That whole sequence where she's breaking down and she can't figure out what's right, whether does she want to stay, does she not want to stay, is she in love with this guy, is she not in love with this guy?
Right.
That whole sequence I thought was animated very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, there's some of that is not. There's not a lot of actual movement except for the rain falling.
Yeah.
But that whole bit there, especially because it goes in and out of her memories at some point too while they're still in the car, which I thought was cool. It was just a nice. It's a nice scenic sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I understand what you're going through, and I love how that rain reflects how she's feeling, and it's not till she kind of comes to terms that the rain stops.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't completely come to terms, because that way it's still the end of the movie.
Right.
But there is that. What's your second like?
Mine would be reflecting upon the past.
Mm-hmm.
Be like looking back on those memories, like when I was a child, and just like, oh my gosh, I was so awkward. Or like how Taiko, that's her name, right? Taiko.
Yeah, Taiko.
Yeah, Taiko would just be like, she's talking with her sister and be like, I can't believe you remember that. Or just something like that. But memories have such a powerful hold on us. Be like, if it's a good memory, it's a bad memory. Like, it's always with us. Because I can remember, like, the awkward story, I know it, but this is funny. And it's something that I remember the rest of my days. So, apparently, our dad, whom I love to death, had said no, we couldn't do something. And so, the three of us, me and my two younger brothers, decided we're going to get even with him. So, this turns into us making a bomb out of the trash pile, and I'm sad to say that we did that. But, and so, Dad goes to burn the burn pile, and it blows up on him. Now, granted, he wasn't hurt. He just got blown back 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, we thought we got beat so bad we had to go get therapy. It didn't happen that way because Dad didn't remember. But Dad was like, okay, it was just a freak accident. We wound up telling him much years later, but that is just so seared in my mind when it comes to memories. And so with this, it's just like everything started flooding back in my younger childhood, stuff that I hadn't thought about in decades. And so it was a nice coast through memory lane as our character is going through her past love of childhood and some of the slight heartaches of childhood. And it's really, really nice and really well told. And there again, beautifully animated. Mm-hmm. So that's my number 2. What's your number 2?
My number 3.
Like. Dos, tres.
Is the sequence where she's daydreaming of the young Taika. Yeah. Taiko is daydreaming of being a being a theater star.
Oh yeah,
she is so stinking cute in that scene. But on top of that entire sequence, there is that little puppet show thing she's watching. In the background that I kind of get the feeling was an actual show that they maybe traced over the puppets for this. Maybe, I don't know. But the animation on those things, they actually looked like they were moving like real puppets.
Yeah.
It did not follow the animation style. The rest of it actually looked kind of like puppets, but yet still 2D art. And of course, it's black and white in the middle of a color movie, which is kind of interesting. But that whole sequence was just pretty and cute. And you know how I am with cute things.
Yes.
It was just nice. And I enjoyed that. So yeah.
All right, awesome. So my number 3...
Did not much enjoy her father's answer afterwards, but that's beside the point.
We'll get there when we get there.
I don't. It's not a dislike. I'm just pointing that out there.
I gotcha.
Her life could have been different if you just let it go. But anyway.
It was the 60s after all.
Didn't want her to be an idol, which I understand completely, because those people go through heck.
Yeah. I would say my number 3 would definitely be the conclusion to our film.
Mm-hmm.
Conclusion to our film that her memories are flooding into current reality, but it's like all of herself and all of her classmates from the 5th grade come into stark reality of this world in a way, but they're more running around her and leading her back to the farm.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just very well executed. The fact to be like, Tycho says earlier on that her 5th grade self kind of came along for the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it how they tease it where she's on the train.
And you can see the kids running through the train.
You can see the kids. You can see young Tycho pop her head out.
Mm-hmm.
And I could totally see myself doing that as a little 5th grader.
Yeah.
Totally see myself doing that. But yeah, that whole conclusion where the past and the present merge, but almost as it's not truly with reality, but it's more guiding Tycho to go back to where she wants to be, or where she, instead of living the life of someone who works in a industry or in a business, what have you, and just goes headlong, be like, okay, I'm going to do something I love to do, and it's something we dream of doing.
Yeah,
finding that job we really want to, that love, the desire. Like, I want to get married someday. Find a woman that I fall deeply in love with.
Right.
And maybe find the job I love. I enjoy my job for the most part. It's got headaches. It's not something
my job
that
doesn't.
Yeah, no. I'd be like, unless you are doing something you just have passion for and love for. And I think it's all we want. And I think Tycho finds that. And it's really a nice, satisfying ending to the film. So that's my number 3.
Alrighty. Let's get into our dislikes.
Okay, let's get it.
I have a feeling one of our dislikes is the same.
It is.
So let's get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
Why did they have to talk about her getting periods?
Well, it's.
I know it's a puberty thing.
It's a natural.
It's a normal thing.
Yeah,
but I'm sitting there watching it, and I feel they keep talking about their period and all this other stuff, and I'm sitting there going, am I supposed to be sitting here? Can I fast forward? I don't. This is the kind of thing I wouldn't sit in the room of out of respect for the people talking about it, because I don't want them to feel. It was weird. I don't want them to feel awkward about it, and I'm awkward about it. And I'm sitting here watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going, okay,
yeah.
And they go on this storyline for what it felt like. I think it was about 15 minutes.
Yeah, it was roughly 10 minutes. 10
to 15 minutes, and it's like, how much longer is this stage? Is this memory going to be?
Right. They linger on it just a little too long.
A little too long, and I think the reason I think it's a little too long is because I'm a guy.
Yeah.
And this is not the kind of thing I like to hear about.
Right.
Because I don't know, I don't want to intrude on that part of what ladies have to go through.
Right.
But yeah, I did not like that part of the movie. And that's mostly just more on me, I think, than anything else.
Right.
Because as I said earlier, this is not a movie made for me. I was not the target audience in any way, shape, or form. But it's still there.
Right.
So yeah.
So I'm going to jump in with yours. Number 1 is definitely that very awkward, the girls learning about their period and what have you. It's totally
to take care of, so you aren't worried. They don't go into detail. They say the word period.
Yeah.
You can tell that's what they were learning about in their education class while the boys were out doing gym.
Yeah.
And I think the worst they get to is they talk about special underwear.
Yeah.
And that's how they word it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not like it's...
They're not going
it's
into
not explicit.
Yeah, they're not going
it's not
into
explicit, but
detail
it's
about
still
it.
there.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. There's a part of me I like the scene, but at the same time I don't like the scene because it gives that sense of realism. And it's just there again, it's that very awkward because being two guys watching this, it's like, okay, this is a little awkward to understand. Not understand,
Heck,
but
it made me feel like a pervert, which is what they kept calling all the guys.
yeah,
This-
that's true. That's true. It's like, come on, guys, really? You gotta look for their skirts. Come on, really?
I mean, it's a Japanese thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Say it's a Japanese thing. I think a lot of people would do it, but it seems to be prevalent in anime.
It is.
But anyway.
I completely agree with you. It's a very awkward scene. But it's her memories. It's her memories of like I guarantee if you talk to any woman our age or any young woman period, it's like, oh yeah, that was the most awkward year in my life.
And to some degree, after a while, it's normal.
Yeah, it's normal
for them.
Yeah.
For me, it's like y'all talk about that. I'm going over here.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, because I've sat around and just talked with people, and like, they get so comfortable with you around, they start talking about everything. It's like, okay, why? It's like, why are we talking about this? I was like, oh, blah blah blah. It's like, no, I'm a guy, okay.
I don't have this issue.
No, I don't. Be like, I'm sorry for you, but it's like, no, can we change the subject, please?
Exactly.
Please.
For crying out loud, I didn't like having to zone that area in health and beauty aids back when I worked at Walmart. That was awkward enough.
Right. Either way. So I definitely completely agree with you that scene is very awkward, but it's very much needed for the story because it's part of Taiko's memory.
That's very true. It's just, I wonder if it could have been handled a little bit differently.
Well,
but like Josh Adams says in the comments section, Japan is much more open about that kind of stuff.
It is,
and I do agree with that.
Yeah, and the Japanese culture is very much more open with nudity and that kind of stuff.
Not that we watch those sorts of things, of course, but
all right. So
dislike number 2.
Okay,
there are several points throughout the movie where she gets kind of like a quick mental flash of something, and it's on screen. I think it's supposed to be like on screen for maybe a few frames, and then it's supposed to go away. You're not supposed to. It's supposed to be like a mental image that just flashes in your mind.
Yeah.
There's some of those in this one. I don't know if it's because of the transfer or if this is how it was in the original cut or anything like that. But there's some of those where it just feels like it stays it stays on it too long, or it cuts in at like a weird point.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I just remember looking at it and going, like, when she's talking to, when they're at the farm, and she's talking to her niece, I think.
Yeah.
And she's talking about wanting Pumas for the shoes.
Yeah, the shoes, yeah.
Yeah. And for what I'm assuming is supposed to be a split second, you see the logo of a Puma.
Yeah.
The Puma logo.
Yes.
It's on there, and it feels like was an afterthought, and they didn't center it right in where it was supposed to go. But I have a feeling it may have been more with the transfer and how it switched back and forth. I'm not sure.
Possibly.
All I know is it felt like it was it felt like it was timed wrong.
Okay.
And it was on screen. And there's another couple of those that seems to happen throughout the movie. I just can't think of any examples off the top of my head. But that do the same thing. And that's why I think it's not a fault of the animators. I think it's more of a fault of the transfer. But I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
So I dislike those parts because it just seems like it's a weird... I know what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite work because of some weird timing in there.
Totally understand.
What's your second dislike?
Oh, my second dislike. Now, there again, this is kind of a mixed bag. Because the likes and dislikes kind of blur together. They're kind of like Taiko's past and present kind of blend together. There is whenever our characters talk, be like how their mouths move, and the mouth flap.
Yes.
The mouth flap is so precise. I think it was like Miyazaki and the director, even though these guys did not like each other, they were rivals. And like during production, they didn't talk to each other. Be like Miyazaki literally came around and be like, you should do this and this and this and this. and the two never talk. I think they talk like once or twice during production, but that was it. It was so awkward, so awkward. But one of the things they came to agree, they wanted to study more on or get more anatomical when it comes to the facial structure of how they like the smiles and the grins and everything.
Right.
And so with that, I thought it was very interesting how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
But execution wise, it looks so awkward.
Part of the issue, I would say, is we're watching the English dub.
Oh, I agree with you. That's
with the Japanese dub, it may fit better.
Yeah, that's what.
The
that's
movie
what I was referring to.
The movie Akira has the same problem.
Okay.
Because Akira did their mouth flaps much more like how we do them, where they record the actors and then with a camera watching them, and then they edit the facial features and all that to match what's on there. This movie, I have a feeling, did the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Most anime does not do that. It's more of it's more like you have 10 mouth shapes and whatever fits is what you use.
Yeah.
And that lends itself to overseas dubbing a lot easier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the same problem, and it's going to be my third dislike.
Okay.
And it's the casting more specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about the casting of Daisy Ridley and Dave Patel and the roles they have, but neither seem to be in tune with the characters they're playing.
Possibly.
Daisy has it a little bit easier because she has much more lines because she's narrating throughout the whole thing, and I can kind of get into her, but there is no way that guy is that Dave Patel's voice should be coming out of that guy.
Yeah, I agree.
His voice does not match that character in the slightest.
And also the fact
it's almost like they're not even watching the video as they're recording the lines. It feels like they are just in a room and they're being told, say this line a little faster, a little bit slower, because that's how little it matches up.
Yeah.
In most cases, when you see like dub actors re-recording lines, they at least watching it so they can match mouth movements or the mouth flaps. It doesn't even feel like they're doing that in here, and his voice just never. His voice is the worst, I think, about matching up with what the animation is. Yeah, and I don't know why that is. And plus, and I think part of the reason I notice it more with him is that his voice does not fits the character he's portraying. Right. It's got an accent to it that I don't think the character would have. Yeah. That's my third dislike. Is it just does not match, and I think part of it is because, like you said, they were trying to go for a more accurate mouth movements.
Yeah, more realistic.
Which doesn't fit with the English as good. Yeah. But at the same time, it's almost like his voice doesn't even fit the character. Yeah. Anyway.
So, going into that, watching the behind the scenes, because most of it's the English. Yeah. And so they have one scene where Daisy Ridley is she's doing her lines and she's talking like this, like all teeth.
I kind of had a feeling she was kind of doing that because it doesn't sound like her natural voice.
No, because she's English. Yeah. And so she's talking in an American accent. And so she
should have spoke British. It would have sounded better.
I agree with you. But it was just, it was a good performance from her. And I'll get into my third dislike when we get there. Mm-hmm. Just when the English director said this was undubbable, it took 4 scripts to do this, to make it work. Right. Because he was told by Ghibli, it's like, because this is undubbable. And he said, well, challenge accepted. I'm going to make it dubbable. Mm-hmm. And so he made it dubbable, but it's so awkward. It's like I'm trying to talk in like this the entire time. Yeah, it's so awkward. Yeah. So the translation from its original Japanese to an English dub is so incredibly awkward. And it looks it's almost like hurts trying to figure out how they spoke this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's my second, and I believe you have gone into your
My
third.
third, so you're on your third.
My third would be, you brought him up a minute ago. What is our main male lead? What is his name?
Toshio?
Yeah, Toshio. The
Played
voice
by
actor.
Dave Patel?
Dave Patel. He did not fit this at all.
Right.
Yeah, because I'm agreeing with one of your points. Dave just, he spoke with what sounded like a very much an English accent.
Except you can tell there's some Middle Eastern there.
Yeah, exactly.
That it's so ingrained, it's like he doesn't even think about it. He wasn't trying to put that in there. He was just talking almost with his normal voice, is what it sounded like.
Yeah, and one of the problems was, I was watching and I was like, okay, where's Toshi from?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, did he go away? And because I was halfway expecting him to, I went to England for like 4 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's never explained, so it's so weird. It's like he did a fairly...
I'm guessing he must have gone to Hungary, considering he had that music of that Hungarian
yeah, that's
stuff.
That's about the only thing that kind of made sense. Doesn't make sense, though.
That doesn't fit his accent either.
No, it doesn't. But it's just... His performance was so... it was an okay performance, but his voice and his dialect just didn't fit with the character.
Yeah.
And we're never given any explanation for it. Everybody else speaks almost like an American English. But he's speaking in a
I mean, some of that makes sense with the American English because
it's an English dub.
It's an English dub plus this was like all the other Studio Ghibli stuff, because it was done by Disney. Maybe they were trying to keep that same feel that the Disney dubs were doing.
Could.
So they hired English actors and they tried to go with the American accent. Maybe that's why Daisy Ridley was trying to go with an American accent for her character.
She did a very good job.
She does a good job. It's just
minus with all teeth.
I mean, her character in Murder on the Orient Express, which was also American, was a much better version.
Yeah, I agree.
Something about I don't know, something about the way that her voice was just kind of is there, and I didn't even recognize that was her at first.
No, well, it probably was the fact that like she had become one with the Force.
Maybe so.
Either way, that's my.
I mean, her buddy Ahsoka was there too. I mean, she was in Troz anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Moving on.
Either way, I think that's my third is the voice actor for what's his face. Toshio, thank you. For Toshio, just did not fit. And we're never given an explanation why he speaks the way he speaks.
Especially since none of his family has the same accent
exactly.
he does.
So it's so awkward. It's like
it's weird. It's so stinking weird.
Did you go to college? But he said he never went to college.
No, he worked in an office somewhere.
Yeah.
And he apparently enjoyed it, but he enjoys
organic farming. Oh my gosh.
How many more times are you going to say organic farming?
It's
okay, I'm guessing organic farming must be a one-word thing, so that's why they would reuse that term so often. There comes a point when you just bring it back to farming. We get the idea. It's organic.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's very similar to last Sunday. Last Sunday we were at church and our pastor, Dr. Mike, kept saying to me like, I'm not making this up.
Yes.
He said it like 6 or 5 times.
6 times. It was 6 times.
6
I was
times.
keeping count. Anyway.
Let's
go ahead and get into our ratings for this thing. I am actually giving this movie a 7.
Oh, okay.
It's got a good story. I think I would prefer the subtitled version over the English dubbed version, but I would have to watch it again with the subtitles to know this for certain.
Right.
And maybe that would fix most of my... Because I think most of my problems are more with the English version, or a lot of my final problems were with the English version, not with the Japanese version.
Right.
I'm not sure on that, but I mean, yeah, it's a good movie, and I don't regret watching it. It's just it was interesting. That's the best word I can know how to put it. So yeah, I'm giving it a 7.
Okay. I'm definitely in the same boat, 7. Originally, I was going to give it a little higher, but it's a good film. The dub is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good story. minus all of our English actors that talk with teeth.
Yes.
Which just sounds so awkward. Good story. Very awkward 15 minutes in the middle of this film.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoyable. I probably won't watch this film again, but it was very enjoyable. It was an experience for me. And I can't wait to get into the next film we get into.
Well, one of our commenters in the live stream has an interesting thing to say about what he would rate the movie.
Oh.
Josh Adams says the movie gets 2 out of 10. Not enough GG.
Oh! Good callback, Josh.
Yes,
very
that's a
good
good one.
callback.
Anyway.
Not enough GG.
Anyway, that brings us to the end of the show. Next week, we are going to be reviewing Porco Rosso, a
Wink,
movie about when pigs fly
Wink, wink.
in World War One. Seaplanes. Seaplanes, that's the word I'm looking for.
So he's a piggy dive bomber?
Perhaps. Anyway, so join us next time for that.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Come, Jacob, we must prepare for next week.
Prepare for what, Drew?
The same thing we do every week, Jacob. Record a podcast!
Oh, boy.
So where can they find you, Jacob?
They can find me on Facebook at Jacob B. Heron and Jacob's Daily Art Corner, my personal art Facebook page. On Twitter at Jacob B. Heron. On Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. And on Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. Where can they find you, Drew?
You can find me on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. You can also find my Facebook page at Drew's Photo Bin, where I upload my photography. You can also follow me on Letterboxd at GGeorge759 and Twitter at GGeorge759. Where can they find us, Jacob?
You can also visit our website, thecellcast.podbean.com, where you will find every episode we released and links to listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Our RSS feed, if we aren't in your favorite podcast app directory, please share, review, and subscribe to us there and share us with your friends.
You will also find a link to our Facebook group, the Double Feature Podcast Community, where we talk about both animated and live-action movies. We share this with our other podcasts, which we do with Jacob's brother Jim, at the Movie of the Week podcast, where we talk about live-action movies. You can also email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please like our page on Facebook. We try to post about upcoming movies. If you comment on that movie's post before we record, we'll read your comments in the episode. And remember, every time we say The Cellcast, that is with a single L.